legendary Bobby Shakes. He's a cameraman, videographer. What else do you do? What other hats you wear, man?
Can't say it.
Can't say it. Get you in trouble. I'm not trying to get you in trouble tonight. But yeah. He's an amazing dude, and we're grateful to have him on our team to be able to record a lot of these events. As you guys know, this is going to be shared as a podcast. It'll be shared on YouTube. It'll be shared on Instagram. You know, as a way to really get the word out, guys, about how to get into real estate, because that's really, I think, the biggest hurdle a lot of us face when we first get started. And so tonight I'll share a little bit about how I got into real estate, a little bit about my background on that front, and then, you know, we'll kind of go through the normal format of how we found this deal, how we got it funded, what stage we're at now. The studs are out, obviously, what our exit strategy is, and kind of really the biggest challenges to this particular project. So first thing, guys, I'm in the process of writing a book to really record a lot of these stories. And so this, I'm going to share, you know, pretty much chapter 2 tonight and what it's all about. So when I first got into flipping, guys, this was back in 2009. The real estate market had just crashed. I had a young family, me and my wife, we had one child, and things were not great, guys. I mean, I think we were eating off a cardboard box in our house. We couldn't even afford furniture, you know, renting an apartment and just trying to navigate and figure some things out. And so, you know, one of the ways to try to navigate, because prior to this, I was a real estate agent. So the real estate agent market just crashed. There was no deals. No one was able to get qualified for financing. If you guys don't know what happened, I'll share a quick little story to kind of characterize how the lending world was, guys. Was anyone in the real estate market at that time? Anyone? Show of hands. What's up, Francis?
Hey,
thanks for coming through. Good. So if you weren't in real estate prior to 2008, one thing you may not know, guys, that anyone with a pulse could get a house. Let me say it again. Anyone with a pulse, you get a bum off the street, like, yo, you want a house? I got you. Come through. 100% financing. Didn't need to show any verification of income or employment. Forget that. They give you 2 loans. It's called the 80-20. 80% on one loan, 20% on the other, and you're a homeowner. But what they didn't tell you is that they were going to give you an adjustable rate mortgage, which would adjust up tremendously after 4 or 5 or 6 years. The first house I ever bought before I started doing this, when I was still working corporate, was a house through one of those programs. It didn't end good, but that's a story for another day, guys. But basically, so that was the climate. So when I was in real estate, I thought I had mastered the game because I was able to kill it, you know, selling houses and this and that. But the reality was, anyone just getting into real estate could make money. It was just easy money. It was too easy. I mean, me and my friends used to joke, like, some of my friends were still in the streets, like, why they living that street life where they can come get some of this real money? Because we thought we had mastered it, and it could have been further from the truth. So market crashes, trying to do deals, trying to get into real estate, trying to continue the flow of income. And my love, you can attest, it wasn't good, right? It wasn't pretty. It was hardcore. So we decided to get into flipping, me and a friend of mine, my former partner, and we did our first flip over on Sefton Street, High Park. I think it used to be Mattapan when we did the flip. Now it's High Park. You know, Boston's redrawing the lines and all that stuff. So got our first property, excited, you know, got in the door, and day one on the project, the guy we hired to do the job, because this is how inexperienced we were, was painting the walls. Day one. Now keep in mind, we need a new kitchen, we need a new bathroom, we need to fix the siding, we need to do a lot of patchwork. Come on in, guys. Come through with it. Yes, all right, come on in. We'll make room for everyone. Day one, this dude's painting the walls, and someone was over my shoulder like, why is this dude painting the walls? I don't think this makes sense. And the person that told me that was my wife. She's like, this dude, I don't think he's the right one for the job. So long story short, he was dead wrong. You know, he and I got into it. We ended up firing him, brought in a guy that actually could get the work done. And we were able to crush it on our first flip, man. At the time, I was, 28, 29? So we crushed it. In my mind, we made like 60,000, so 30 for him, 30 for me. And this is when we were struggling. So we were like, yeah, we're going to keep this rolling. So I jump into my next flip. Now, keep in mind, this was a 3-family. It was on the market for 80,000 and no one touched it. And a person who ended up mentoring me, he even passed on it. And he's like a big time developer. He recently closed a $300,000 wholesale. So that tells you the caliber of guy we're dealing with right here. He passed on that deal. But me and my young friend, we thought we had mastered the game. We're out here like, yeah, ready to, you know, pop bottles and do it all. And it definitely was a real rude awakening. So we bought this $80,000 project. The GC that partnered with us was like, oh yeah, I can get it done for $80,000. Don't worry, I got you covered. And you know, all the other estimates we got were like 250 to 300. But this dude was like 80. So we're like, yeah, we got this. You know, we weren't listening to the truth. There were warning signs all along the road, all around the way. And so when we get into it, you know, I asked him, like, how are you going to do it for 80? Once we started, the money started going real quick. He's like, oh, I got this dude. He works for Home Depot. You know, the stuff's going to fall off the back of the truck. Don't worry, I got you. You know what I'm saying? And that should have been, we should have had pause right there, but young and dumb, we just said, all right, we're going to go with it. We just, optimistic, hoping for the best. And so what ended up happening is, it wasn't $80,000 to do the project. That dude, after the $80,000 ran out, where do you think he went? He ran off. He was long gone. He made a couple bucks, bait and switch. He's out of here. We got the job. So we had to scramble around, raise more money, friends and family. I mean, it was crazy. We had to figure our way through it. In the end, we ended up taking a major loss to the tune of about $200,000, guys. And so the biggest lesson I want to share with all you guys is in the title, the chapter is titled "The Ego is the Enemy." And really, like, we, in our minds, we just thought we just was something amazing. And, it's easy to trick yourself when you get a little bit of success. And I really want to, just impart on you guys that this is a long road, guys. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Get in slow. Whether you start wholesaling to build up your capital or just to learn the game and be in the team or be with mentors and folks who can help you grow your business, it's super important. Do a couple and gradually build it up. Don't try to go crazy taking on some massive. It was a 5,000 square foot. It was bigger than weight, like 5 times the size of this house. You know what I'm saying? For new flippers, that don't even make sense. And so that's really the lesson. Don't let your ego trick you. Really understand that intelligence is one thing, but actually having the skills to do it is another. And that's really where you want to get to a place where you have the skills, you got the proficiency, and an ability to actually gradually get there and know, like, your foundation is built on cement, not sand, not twigs, not whatever it is that's not, that doesn't come with either experience or mentorship. And that's really what this is for. I mean, some of my team members are coming tonight, and we creating an environment as a team where we can help you along the way, guys. So as you guys know, I have a real estate brokerage firm that I own called Boston Trust Realty Group. We also have a lending company called Boston Realty Funding. We have a property management partner in D-Right Property Management. And so we really are structured to help you find deals, get them funded, and help you get them sold for a profit. And we have contractors that we can help refer you to along the way, guys. I'm a licensed contractor, but I only manage my own project. So my wife and I, she's my partner in crime on the management front. And yeah, that's pretty much kind of the story of that lesson I learned, and that I really want to share with you guys tonight, that really keep your ego in check and build a solid foundation before you really jump into flipping hardcore, guys. It definitely was a tough lesson to learn. Come on in, guys. Make some space. Come on in. It's all right. Appreciate you guys coming out. What's up, Carlos? Welcome. Excellent, guys. So with that said, we'll kind of get into this project. So this particular project, as you guys saw, it's a 2-family, 2 townhouses side by side in Jamaica Plain. These units, when they're done, believe it or not, look at this little space. Just look around you right here. And this is where location comes in. This particular house, each side will sell for anywhere from like $725 to $750, guys. Wow. In this area. What you guys think about that? Welcome to JP. Yep. So it was a really good deal. So to get into how we found this deal would have showed up on 2 lists. And I got my partner in crime over here, Rob Blocker. Raise your hand, let him know who you are. So Rob and I, we talk every day. I mentor him. He's very hungry out here finding deals and doing deals together. So Rob was the one who initially made contact with this seller, and we were able to take it down together. This particular property, we ended up getting it for $700,000, and it would have shown up on 2 lists. The first one that would have shown up is on the driving for dollars list. Anyone driving for dollars right now? You got a couple hands going up, couple heads nodding. It's a tried and tested, proven strategy to find deals, guys. If you don't know what driving for dollars is, it's basically driving around your neighborhood or any neighborhood looking for the most rundown houses on the street. A house with overgrown weeds, a house that with broken windows. It looks like it's abandoned. It looks like no one lives in it. Those are the houses you want to look for. Then you can trace the owner's name. I got a bunch of YouTube videos out there about this, so feel free to subscribe to me on YouTube. Get in there and learn. I mean, there's definitely a lot of great information on there that'll help empower you to grow your business, guys. Come on in, guys. It's all right. It's cool. Welcome. Good stuff. How you doing? So basically, this would have shown up on driving for dollars or the probate list. It was an estate sale. The owner inherited this property. So I'm sharing this, guys, so you kind of know where you can find deals and how you can find deals. And I know there's a lot of real estate agents in the room here too as well. The same goes for real estate agents. When you're prospecting, it's the same process, same list that you want to try to hit and try to find deals, guys, from that perspective. And again, then you skip trace the information, connect with them, and I got some scripts and different things online that allow you guys to do that. How we funding this deal, we ended up funding it through hard money, through my hard money lending company. And so, got some more people coming in. Come on in, guys. How you doing? Welcome. Welcome, man. What's up, Milton? What's going on? Come on in. The packed house tonight, guys. I know it's a tight space, but appreciate you guys accommodating each other. Keep the body heat is what's going to keep us warm tonight, because the heat's not working, guys. Quick story on the heat. The heat was supposed to be on. National Grid came today, and this is just the reality of flipping houses. National Grid came today, and the meters were undersized, the previous meters, so they have to swap the meters out, but they couldn't do it today because the shut-off box in the street was, the dumpster was on top of it, so they couldn't access it in order to safely, without exploding themselves and exploding this house, swap those meters out. So that's why the heat's not on. We did everything in our power to get it on for you guys, but I appreciate you guys braving the cold. And I think this is actually warmer than the last one, right? Anyone was at the last meetup? I think this house is a little warmer than the last one, guys, but cool. But yeah, so that's how we found this deal. We funded this deal to kind of jump back into it through hard money, guys. And that was through my lending company. And, you know, basically I let my wife explain, you know, what was your vision when you saw this property?
Well, I think that somebody else had it on that agreement, and it fell apart. And I said to him, like, what is that? It's like, well, it's in Jamaica Plain. I'm like, can I go and see it? So I was looking around the neighborhood. I'm like, I want it. I'm like, because I see I usually what I do, I go around to see what is happening in the neighborhood, and it's a lot of construction. Then I saw the T, and also there is the brewery is I think that is a cafe or something. I usually go and get my coffee there, but
the JP hotspot.
And I'm like, it's a no-brainer. Let's just do it. So, and I said I want it. So, and first when we came, it was really bad. Like the floors, they were not level. It was a wall there. Everything was so claustrophobic. But
claustrophobic, and that side of the house hadn't been lived in what, like 20 years?
20 years.
Yeah, so he hadn't even been in there in 20 years. So when we came, we were to walk through. He was like, I don't know if there's any animals in here. I hear some noises, but we're going in.
Yeah,
we made it out alive.
And yep. I think that it was not a brainer for us. I mean, you buy it for $700,000. You put our max budget is gonna be $300,000.
Yep.
So it's and if we sell it, each of them for $750, $720, we're gonna get a good profit.
It's a good profit, guys. Can't lose over here. Can't lose over here. Yep. You want to talk about the biggest challenges on this project?
Yes. One of the biggest things, and it's always with each project. I think that when you submit the plans and you go through this, you know, to the city, and they deny the plans because I wanted to finish the basement, you know, to make a living area as well for the people, and they denied the plans. So they said that we had to go to the variance, and that it will kill you with hard money.
It will kill your profit. Speed is everything, guys, right?
So then I'm like, we have to ask the neighbors for permission. We need to deal with the city, so it can take 10 to even 8 to 10 to a year. It's depending on the neighborhood, on the neighbors to approve it. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, we have to change the plans.
Right.
So we just like, forget about the basement, just let's do the 2 levels and get it done. So that's what we did. And also the other issue that I have with what we can do and we cannot do, because it's an existing house.
Right.
And it's always I'm having an issue because I want to build something amazing, but I know you can't have that window small. You have to close it, but you cannot make it bigger. I'm like, why not? We have another big one. No, you cannot, because the setback doesn't meet the requirements.
Yep.
It just is very frustrating for me. That's the main thing that I'm always having a struggle when I want to do something nice and big for the community and for somebody that is going to come and live here.
Yep.
Go through that process.
What do you mess up for developing the plan?
So we have so I'm a licensed contractor. So one of the things, whenever you develop, it's super important to have a good understanding of the local permitting process. Like in the city of Boston, you know, the FAR requirements, the zoning, like I know pretty much, I know how to look up everything I need to know for each of our projects in the city. When I go to new markets, like we have a project in Quincy, a project in Brockton, a project in Gloucester, those are all conforming, but we're doing something in Cape Cod coming up this summer, and I was looking at the zoning to kind of confirm, you know, what can be done with that particular parcel. Still makes sense to leave it as is, but we do that ourselves. But if you don't have the experience, a really good resource for that, 2 good resources, guys. And that's a great question. an architect that knows the local zoning. Don't go with someone out of state, just some random person. If you need a good architect referral, I can definitely provide several for you. And then a zoning attorney, especially in the city of Boston. If you don't know the zoning code, these guys know the zoning code like the back of their hand, and they'll tell you what you can do, kind of what the community will allow you to do in that particular area in the city of Boston. And to touch on your point, you know, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. Like, we could dormer this roof out, we know how to do all of that and get the structures done and take this house to a whole different level and add, you know, 2 stories above. But, you know, that's where you start to have to assess, where am I going to get the best return for my money and my time?
Yeah.
And so working within the existing envelope is critical to your profitability on these projects. And we've learned that the hard way. Like, we've done some projects where we've got a little aggressive and ambitious, and then we realized like that ate into our margin quite a bit, primarily because the time it took to get that approved, it basically neutralized, you know, any potential increase in the price, because we're paying on that money every month. So, you know, that's just something that I think is a really good point. For me, the biggest struggle here, or you know, one of the things, and I talked about this earlier, was leveling these floors. In New England and Boston, a lot of these homes were built in the 1800s. This house was built in like 1850, guys. You know what I mean? So a house that was built that long was definitely gonna have some settling, and it's more like slanting. The house literally felt like it was twisted, and so we had to really come up with a plan to level these floors. And initially, we didn't anticipate just how much it needed to be leveled, but it was a difference of about 5 inches, guys. So from one corner of the house to where I'm standing right now, you had a difference in space of about like 5 inches. That's huge. You can feel that when you walk in. So, no, that's pretty much it. Oops, and anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, we had to spend another 15,000 extra in labor and plus materials too.
Yeah,
so
right.
just leveling everything up, and also the walls, because it was so old, we have to make sure that all the walls are straight too.
Right.
So it's just, you know.
And the ceilings.
And that's so
when you raise
important.
the floor, guess what else you have to raise? You gotta raise the ceiling. That's right. So everything had to go up. So it all compound to a $15,000 increase. Thankfully, we had a lot of meat on the bone on this one. But if your margin's tight and you're over leveraged, boom, there's your profit right there, guys. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's an important point.
All the time when I go and see a house, if I know that they are not level, and I just that's the first thing that I check, because that is
big cost.
It's a big cost.
Big cost,
correct.
right? Yeah. Trust me, we love the fluff and bust. You know, the cosmetic flips. We got 3 of those going right now. Those are where you make the quick money. And you know, we don't mind doing these as well, but we primarily focus on a lot of those. But I really wanted to expose you guys to something a little different, because we're gonna have a lot more of those easier flips coming up. But it's good to have one with the studs out, guys, so you guys get to feel and see it's real out here. Like, this is it. You can see it, you can touch it, and then when you see the finished product, it allows you to kind of visualize and see what it looks like to go from this to something that becomes a home. Yeah, definitely.
And this is how I spend every day here, like 4 or 5 hours, just making sure that the guys, they do a good job and making sure that everything gets done right. And even if they have questions, because they're gonna come out with things. And one of the things that that happened with the architect, the stairs, they're supposed to be going backwards, but because of the main beam, he didn't cut that. So things change quick.
And if you're not here, this is gonna do whatever the hell they want to do. Trust me. You come in, your house will look like, what's this? And then when you try to put your plaster up in your walls, if you don't catch it, you're gonna be in trouble. But that's a good point you bring. Like, a lot of people talk about, how do you manage a contractor? How are you able to manage a project, especially if you're not experienced? Really, guys, the biggest thing is communication and accountability. You really want to make sure that on a daily basis, somebody that you trust is here, just asking your team, what is the game plan today? That way, they're giving you an idea of what the expectations are for the work they're going to complete while they're there every day. And then they're also, you can keep them accountable, like, and check. And you have to, someone's got to go back and check to make sure it's done. And then if it's not done, ask them immediately, hey, why isn't this done? Why didn't you finish what you said you were going to finish? Trust me, if you can do that, guys, it sounds simple and it's small, but if you do that consistently, that will empower you to manage your project. You may not know everything about construction. You may not be an expert in every arena, but keeping people accountable and keeping them on their toes, when they get that call to get that quick money on that little quick job, they're like, oh, nah, this dude's coming. Ty, I'm going to use that as an example. Ty's coming through today. He's going to be giving me a hard time. I got to finish that job first before I jump to something else. And it's always the same. And they're good people and they're well-intentioned, but if you don't keep them accountable, like anything in life, like having little kids, you want to correct them when they go off track. It just makes it a lot easier if you do it each and every day, as opposed to snowballing the wrong direction. Then you come 2 weeks later like, hey, where'd all my money go? You know what I mean? So Yeah, super important, you know.
And I think that you have to have the right team
Right.
and the right crew. Like, you know, I love my plumber, I love my electrician, and I mean, even sometimes I love my carpenter and the painter because I know the quality and they understand what I do. My tiling guy too, and he knows exactly, and he knows how to execute the things that I wanted, and that's so important. And it's hard for women to get into the business. It's not easy, but once they see you working, they see you that, you know, I mean, I've been doing so many projects now that they respect me. You earn the respect. Because usually, like, I'm like, I go to Home Depot, I'm like, let's go and grab the truck and let's get everything, you know? And they're like, what? I'm like, I'm not gonna wait for the truck, for the delivery truck for next week. It's money. So I just grab the truck and go and pick up the, you know, the materials. And they're not used to that. And I think that, you know, it's you earn respect if they see you working too.
No, that's really true. That's a good point. So kind of we can backtrack to 2 years when she joined me full time in this business. I'm a man, you know, I've been doing this, you know, now over 10 years. So I didn't even think about that. So she started coming on the projects and managing day to day. But what was happening, like, she would talk to the guys, but guess who they would call?
You.
They were calling me. I'm like, why are you calling me? You just talk to my wife. Then they do it again. I'm like, no, don't call me, call her. So it came to a point where I just stopped picking up. And I would text them, call my wife. She's in charge. It's her vision. It's her scope. And I really had to give her her place in order for her to thrive and be successful. But it's something that, you know, as men, we don't even think about, especially in the world of construction. You know, you're dealing with a lot of macho men, a lot of dudes. You know, it is what it is. Not judging them. It's just the culture. But, you know, over time, she gained and earned their respect. But I also had to play my role in giving her a place. And it was something that I didn't even think about until we were in the situation and that occurred. So, no, now, I mean, they don't even call me anymore. They, you know, I'm like, hey, Rod, hey, long time no see, man. Yeah, long time no see. Good to see you.
He doesn't show up until then.
I come through from time to time, but, you know, my role in the projects is primarily finding the deals, financing them, pulling the permits, the planning. So that's where we do it together. All the planning is done with the two of us. And then from there, she makes sure the plan gets executed on a daily basis. If we hit a hurdle, we game plan it, we troubleshoot it, and then we keep going. And so that's how it works for us. And I think that gives you guys kind of a good idea, if you have partners or if it's a team structure, how you guys can kind of work together. I got my partner here, Tony. We've done deals together as well. And so, like, we really have a good understanding of how to navigate that piece. Not always easy, you know, husband and wife, you know what I mean? You still got to go home together. Things aren't always perfect, but we make it work. You know, you gotta make sure the communication keeps going and keeps flowing so that you guys can get to the money and get through the project, guys. So definitely. One other question, you want to elaborate a little bit on the layout? I know a lot of folks just walked in. You can kind of give them the breakdown of the property and what we're going to be selling with the finished product.
So basically, I mean, it was a wall here, which we eliminated, and we put the main beam, and also it was another wall here that I just open it up. That way, it's a little bit to make it more bigger and also more welcoming. And basically, like, the kitchen is gonna be all the way on the back.
Yep.
The dining room is gonna be on that corner, and this is gonna be the dining room, the living room. Sorry, open concept.
Yep.
So of course we're gonna have the TV too here and
gas
fireplace.
Gas powered fireplace. Yep. On both sides. So both units are identical. We got 2 beds, 2 baths upstairs, guys. And for those of you that just walked in, there's little tiny space in JP. This floor upstairs, and then you got a basement. Maybe they'll finish it in the future. They'll have to dig it down a little bit and do what they do. We just poured a new floor down there because we wanted to waterproof it. But these will sell for anywhere from $725,000 to $750,000 per side, guys. So that's what JP gets you. And that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, I think it's a good time to open up the questions. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Excellent, guys. So we'll open it up to questions. I will ask. We got Mr. Bobby Shakes here. He's putting the microphone. If you want to ask a question, just come to the mic so we can get the audio. For all of you who came in late, this will be put on YouTube, guys, in the next, how long should I tell them? I'm putting you on the spot.
24 hours.
Next 24 hours, there you go. You heard it here first.
A couple of days to put it on YouTube.
Excellent, guys. So it'll be on YouTube in the next, let's say, we'll give them some credit, say in the next 5 days or so. You'll have it uploaded, edited, and ready to go. So if you missed any part of it, we really kind of early on got into our story, how we got into flipping. One of the biggest lessons I learned, I'm writing a book about my experiences in real estate, guys, and one of the things I had mentioned earlier is that the ego is the enemy. That's the title of chapter 2, and it really talked about how I tricked myself into thinking I mastered the game But really, I was like a little kid crawling, and I was trying to sprint with the big boys. And how we got caught up in that, but how we got through it, guys, and how we're better off for it. So with that, we'll open it up to questions, guys, about this project or flipping in general.
Could you talk a little bit about how the financing works?
Yes, very good question. So there's different ways to do flips. When, we're in the process of restructuring our company, so we'll probably be transitioning to bank money. Right now, we're leveraging hard money. But the way the financing works with these projects, first and foremost, anytime someone's looking to do one of these projects, experience does matter, especially like a gut rehab like this. If you go to a bank and you're first timer, they're going to shut you down. Like, they're not financing a gut rehab for a newbie because banks hate risk. So your next option will be hard money. My company, we fund deals like this every day. And so basically you need to come up with 20%. As far as a ratio that we're looking for, and this is where you guys want to take notes, the 70% rule. You guys familiar with that? I know we talk about that every time, but it's tried, tested, and proven, guys. So the 70% rule is basically you take what you're going to buy the property for, plus how much it's going to cost you to fix it. That gives you your total. Then you figure out how much the house is going to be worth when it's done, your ARV, after repair value. Multiply that by 0.70, and your acquisition and renovation budget should be under that number to safely do the flip and safely get it funded. Yep, so it's 70% of your after repair value. Now, a lot of folks, the next question is, how do I figure out my ARV? So there's 2 ways to get your ARV, guys, right? Well, let's say 3 ways. You got all of these public-facing websites, Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, they give you these values. That's one way to do it, but that is not the most accurate, and I wouldn't recommend doing that as your main source. Number 2 is investing in software to learn how to do it yourself. But remember, if you're new, you don't really have a lot of skills, and it's really not the time to be practicing when it comes to your money, guys. You want to make sure you're making a sound and solid decision. So ideally, number 3 would be to connect with a local realtor that can help you. I know I got plenty of my team members here, Tony right here, and the other BTRG agents in the building. Put your hand higher, man. You got to hold it up there so folks can see you. Yep. Excellent. Zainab's in the back there waving. Milton. And Milton's up here. We got Junior. We got Rudy. We got quite a few BTRG agents who can definitely assist you with doing a CMA, guys, that you can trust. They ain't just throwing something against the wall and say, oh yeah, let's do the deal. They're gonna give you a number that they can stand behind and know you're getting something where you can run your numbers, and it's really reverse engineered. You start with the ARV and work it backwards, but you can get a number that you can trust and really move forward in the process and see if it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. So I hope that answered the question.
But also make sure that you have a backup. You need to have a backup of money to start the project, because with the hard money, you don't get reimbursed if you don't spend the money.
You got to start first, right?
You have to start
You got to be
first.
first in, is what we call it. And you got to have some skin in the game in the form of 20%. Yep. Excellent.
Any other questions?
Next question?
Yeah, I have a question. So both units are going to be 2 bed, 2 bath?
Yes.
What
Both
size?
1,000 square feet. 2 beds, 2 baths, 1,000 square feet. Both sides. Open concept.
Is it duplex or floor through?
Floor through. Yeah. Yep. And then up and floor through. Well, actually, duplex on both sides, but they're both floor through as well. Yep. What's up, Mark? Thanks for coming through.
That they did the wrong roof?
Oh yes.
Oh.
The guys, they come. The guys, this is the owner of the company. He sent the guys to do the roof. So the guys went to 2 houses back down to and they stripped the whole roof for the neighbors. I'm serious. This happened, and you know why? Because the owner wasn't here.
Yeah.
So he sent the guys. The
owner of the roof. And here's the worst part. He didn't call us to tell us he was even starting the job, which was crazy. Yeah, that was a mess. Yeah.
He didn't say anything,
right,
because
no communication.
I have to let the neighbors know that
Right.
we're gonna be doing work because of the driveway. So he just sent his guys, and they were
just pick the house.
I
Like, which
just
one
wa-
looks like the house? What roof looks like it needs to get done? Oh, we'll do that one right there. It's got to be that one.
So they ripped the whole roof, and then they were like, "Oh," I'm like, he sent me a picture, and I said to him like,
Whose house is that?
"What is that house?" I'm like, "This is not the house." It's like, "Oh," and I think that he just called me, like he called the guys, and I'm like, "Call him." Like, it's like, "Oh, we make a mistake." So the neighbors, they got a free roof.
They got a free roof, guys. Yep. So it was a blessing. Someone was praying for that family. It was a blessing in disguise.
The other thing with this house, also, we have to redo all the plywood,
Yeah, the whole roof, yeah, had to be reframed and
everything,
everything.
everything. So we spent another 2,000
Yep.
extra that we didn't anticipate it. So
Yeah.
it's always something with these renovations.
Absolutely.
So how do you pick your contractors? And how do you know a good contractor from one that just has an HIC and one that actually has like a CSL?
Got it. Great question. So first and foremost, guys, you can ask, like, anytime they give you paperwork, you should ask to see a copy of their license or get their license information, and then you can actually look it up on the state licensing board website. And for projects like this, HIC is not cutting it. And even for most projects, you need someone with a CSL. I am the contractor on these projects, so we do all of our own in-house. I'm licensed. I have my CSL unrestricted and my HIC as well. But how do you find a good contractor? I mean, I think the best contractors I found are two ways. One, referrals, like people that I trust, and I can see the work and touch the work and know that, okay, this is legit. And then the second one is when you're driving around and you see a house being constructed, just walk inside. Go ask who's in charge, talk to them.
Yeah.
And a lot of our crew, like our subcontractors, our carpenters, our painters, our framers, we found them through one of those two methods. And now if you're a millennial or you want to go high tech, hey, there's Homeadvisor. And it's hit or miss. And I've had some good experiences over the years with some folks who were able to do some good work. But what I found a lot of times with those services, the first time they're good because they're getting that review, and then the next time they're not consistent. So you got to be real careful. And I think if you test them out with something small and gradually work their way up, then you can kind of see who they are over time. But to give them a big job to start, I would never advise that unless it's someone referred by someone you trust. And we have several contractors we can refer as well. That we trust and know that can help you guys, do projects like this or even smaller.
But the other thing, I mean, what I do, I go into constructions.
She goes on sites.
I go inside and I talk to people. And
Yep.
My benefit is that I speak Spanish and Portuguese.
Yes.
That, what they're going to say to me, no, you can't talk to them. I'm like, I just go inside, talk to the guys, and they show me everything. I like to see the work that they do because that's how, I like to touch things. I like to see how they do things.
Right.
If you don't, I'm more visual. I like to see how they do things. And I'm like, he's good. So give me a quote. And I usually grab 3 or 4 people, bring them into the project. And I'm like, just give me a quote. And some of them, they're like, I'm like, are you kidding me?
Crazy numbers.
Because
they see her, she's a woman. They just give her this certain price. Then I'll call oh, hold on.
I say no. And
I can work with you. Hold on, let me work with you. By then it's too late. I'm like, nah, you already discriminated. I'm good.
Yeah, no, but it's honest. But
I'm sorry.
yeah. But I usually honestly just go and drive around and see the work. You guys need to see what they do, and I think that's the most important thing.
What's your question? Yep.
I was gonna say, with a full gut like this, how far along into the project would you be before you start looking for the next project that you guys are just going to work on?
So I think that really depends on how you're capitalized and how much you can take on, your team can take on. So we like to do just one of these. So we have this project that we're gonna do the first and second quarter. This will be done by the end of March. Should be end of March. Let's say early April, like the first week of April. We'll be finished with this. We already have another project for the second or third quarter of the year. That's new construction, 2 units from the ground up, which is actually easier. So we'll do one of these at a time. Like we'll say maybe every 2 quarters. So 2 or 3 of these a year. But in between, we do a lot of smaller projects, just kitchens and baths and fix and flips. So we got 3 of those going on right now as we speak.
So this is it.
So we can manage a lot of those. But we have 4 projects going on as we speak. Yep. Yeah, you got to look at your team, and if you're just starting out, do one. And I would not recommend starting off on a gut. Don't do what I did. That was a crash dummy move. Don't do it. Trust me. Start with something easy and small, and they're not always easy to find. But be patient, guys. Be patient and kind of just stick to your process and be disciplined. Because if you do that, I guarantee you're gonna have a higher probability of being profitable on the first one.
So I thought you guys were the owners, but somebody else hired the roofing guys?
We hired them. So we normally go with one roofing contract. He wasn't available. So this is the first job we ever used him on. He came highly referred, and he did a great job on the roof, but he just didn't communicate to. He didn't call us. He didn't tell us he was coming.
Subbed it out to his guys.
We subbed out to his guys,
I
correct.
guess.
Yeah, that's the first time. We sub everything out on our jobs, yeah. So that was the first time we ever used them. And like I said, we're really happy with the work and the price. But man, they worked a little too fast. They just got down to business.
Yeah, the roof was done in one.
Yeah. They did this in 2 days. They're 2 days total. Strip it, finished it in 2 days, done. Yep. So they did a great job after the little hiccup. What's going on here?
The house is being so old.
What about the factor of de-letting?
So when you buy a house like this, guys, kind of in part of your preparation process, you want to get a lead inspection to confirm if there's lead or not. In this case, it was a full gut, and the crew we have is licensed with lead, our demo crew. So yeah, and that's key. You want to have guys who are licensed at what they do, so they knew how to deal with it and take everything out in a safe way and eliminate the hazard. They were spraying it down with water as they were doing it, so this thing looked like a dust ball, man. And they would even with the water. So it was a lot of contaminants that they kept in check. Like I was driving in Boston earlier today. They were taking a bigger building down, and they had some water jets coming on. That's the thing. Like people don't know that when you're demoing, you need to use water, because if that dust you're inhaling it can make you sick. And it pollutes the environment as well. So those are just the things. Having a good team, they'll handle that. But no, that's a great question, because you always want to be thinking liability as well to protect yourself.
Right.
Yep. Correct. So it is good to have a contingency, guys. I will say this, Donna. That's a great point you bring up. It's hard nowadays to have as big as a contingency as you'd like to have. Some people say, 25%, 20%. You're buying these so high that your contingency usually ends up being around 10% of your budget, 5 to 10, which is not a ton. So on a project like this, our total budget was what we at on this one? 733. So no, for our budget for the construction was 300. So we have a contingency of about 30K. So we only have a 10% contingency, which is not much on this one. But that's kind of, if you want to be competitive, sometimes you got to give up a little bit of that in order to be competitive. Yep. Definitely. Yep.
Was the owner a distressed of it?
He was distressed, so it was probate. I would say this. He was comfortable. So his family had owned his house. Where's Rob Block? Did he take off? I think he left, yeah. Rob spoke to him more than I did, but I think they had owned this house at least 60 years. It was in the family for a very long time, and they had inherited it through probate. So while that side was abandoned, this side was in very rough shape, but it was habitable. I mean, it was comfortable for what he wanted. It's the only house he ever lived in. So yeah, he wasn't distressed, but I think he and his brothers needed to move on, and they wanted the money, because it was just one person living in this whole house. It doesn't really make sense. His daughter had went to college, and she was gone and started her career. So he was like, you know what, it's time to let it go. And they all split. It was 3 of them. They split the money, and everyone was fine. It doesn't always work out like that. There's fights. We did a probate, one house we picked up yesterday, and the family's still beefing right now, and it's not nothing to do with us. I got a call today. I'm like, I ain't touching that. Yep. But he wasn't really distressed. Whereas the other situation yesterday, they were a little bit more distressed. And so yeah, we were dealing with that. Yep.
So question, how do y'all actually go about finding this particular homeowner?
This homeowner, so we skip trace his information on white pages. So he was skip trace. We called him, made the connection.
Was it drive for dollars?
It wasn't though. So this came up on the probate list. This one you would have seen it driving for dollars though, because it looked like a haunted house. I wish you had some pictures up here of what it looked like. I used the picture in the Meetup. If you look at the Meetup photos, you'll see it was like a gray asphalt shingle. People would drive by the house and not see it because it just looked like it was a shack or like a garage or something. You didn't even know there it is. Yeah, so you guys can kind of see for yourself. That's what the house looked like. And from the side of the road, you guys can see here, you're only seeing one side of it. So like you just think it's like a little shack, a hut, who knows what. Yeah, so it really was hard to see. But there is one, if you had the eye for it, you probably would have spotted this as one for, driving for dollars. Because it doesn't fit. Look at this beautiful co-op next door. This is a 30-unit development. And then you got this thing. It's like, yeah, that's definitely someone who wants to sell. But yeah, you could have caught it driving for dollars, but he didn't. He caught it on the probate list. Yep. So when they were ready to sell, they decided to probate the estate. And that's when it flagged him and he called him up.
Is that a long process with the probate?
It depends. Some are quick, some are long. It depends on if there's a will and or whatever documentation's in place to get the license to sell. Other times, Tony and I, we did one. It took like 2 years, 3 years.
Almost 3 years.
3 years. We got one in Mattapan that me and Daniel, I don't know if Daniel's here, but we got one right now. It's been in probate. We're trying to get the license to sell for like almost 3.5 years, guys. So it's a long game. You don't want to bank it all on one deal or one strategy. You want to be consistent and keep looking. But yeah, it can take long. Some are quicker than others. We've had some that was like, just like that. Within a month, they got the license and they're ready to go. Yep.
So how long did it take from your first point of contact
to get this deal?
Yeah.
So from the first point of contact, it took us about 4 months. Not because of us. He was negotiating with another party at the same time. So that he's like, let me see if that's where that's going to go. So he ended up accepting their offer first. They couldn't perform. And so he came back to us immediately, and we took it in a heartbeat. They were willing to pay more than us. But because they didn't get it together in time, we swooped in and we closed within 30 days.
Well, and the other thing about hard money, you can close in next day.
You close in 7
anytime.
days, close as fast as you can get the title, you can close. Yeah, so that's the best thing about hard money, the speed. A lot faster than the bank. A lot of people, what they do is they use hard money to get in, and we're doing a deal like this right now in Dorchester on a 3-family, helping a borrower. He's buying a 3-family. Well, he inherited it, but he's basically getting it for like $400,000. 3-family in Dorchester. Can you imagine that right now? I saw that loan yesterday. I'm like, yep, we got you. Yep. So yeah, exactly. So we're doing that one right now, and he needs to close next week. So we're pushing everything and rushing it to get it done for him. Yep. So yes, there's definitely some speed that comes with hard money for sure. So there's lists you can buy, and then there's a public list. So some states you have to pay to get those lists, even from the state. And Massachusetts actually is free. So we can send you the link so you can check it out. It's very complicated how to navigate it, but that's something we can talk about. So flipping a house versus flipping a condo was the question, guys. Everybody heard that? So if you're flipping a house, the beautiful thing is the independence that comes with it. You know, it's just you, and you're just dealing with, you and whoever's buying it in the end and your crew. When it comes to flipping a condo, the good thing is with most condos, they require a lot less work. From that perspective, it's a lot easier on the work front. But I will say this, dealing with neighbors has some serious challenges, guys. I mean, we're so close to the butters here. Sometimes it can be tough. We have access to use the driveway to do work, but now we block it, so we have to give them notice. It's just playing nice and being good neighbors, and in the end, it'll work out. One thing, like we've done a few duplex flips where we only own one side. And so what we've done is we've sided the entire house, because you can't have your side looking nice and then the other side looking like a horror show. Like that hurts your value. So it's just more cost effective if you can get it in the budget to do both sides and just really, make the outside look nice. That's to your benefit. It'll sell a lot quicker and you'll get more money for it, because it just makes the community and the house look better. So that's something to keep in mind. Like if you are doing something attached, you got to have some allowances in your budget to do a little bit more work. The landscaping, same thing. Like we always do the landscaping, we do the siding if we can. The roof, if we can do both roofs if it makes sense.
I personally don't like those.
She hates that. She's like, oh no, they gotta pay. Get 50%. But sometimes,
that's what I don't like to do. Those.
Right. And the reason it's in disrepair is because usually they don't have the money to pay. Like we had one recently that we ended up wholesaling. I did close on it. I held it for like 2 months, but I couldn't get it to work with the neighbor. And basically, we ended up selling it to one of our friends, but over in Mattapan. But the owner, I would try. First, he said, he was gung-ho about doing everything with me. Yeah, 50-50. Then I tried to get him on the phone after the first conversation. He disappeared, so you already know he didn't really have the money. And the house was in really rough shape. So I'm like, you know what? And we had some other projects that were a little bit more, that fit what we needed at the time. So we decided to let that one, just wholesale that one.
Don't do it.
Yep. In an ideal world, guys, with this property in JP and nowadays, this should be a 4-story, duplex. Like we would throw a floor above, finish the basement. So you have a finished basement, this floor, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths on the floor above, and then a master suite on the very top. So yes, we would have sold these for $1 million each side had we done that. But to get to that $1 million each side, it's just so much work, so much time, and it doesn't make sense. And there's no promises. We're so close to the neighbors, there's nothing we could do by right. So we'd have to get a variance and get their approval to do it. And I'm not sure we would have gotten the right approvals to do it. So you're taking a big chance with your money if we had done that. We've been helping a lot of borrowers in Brockton. Brockton's a hot spot. Like stuff's flying off the shelves out there. Anyone else doing anything in Brockton? Yeah, so you guys know Brockton is moving. Like it's a really strong market. I mean, Tony and I used to joke. I was like, I'm never doing a flip in Brockton. Guess what? I'm doing a flip in Brockton right now. So, right, Tony? And Tony called me out on it too. He's like, Rob, I thought you'd never go into Brockton. I'm like, hey, things change, man. You got to change with the times. We're funding a lot in Providence. That's another hot spot. That market's really on the rise. So I've seen a lot more in Providence recently. We've done a couple in Worcester and Springfield, but I wouldn't recommend it just based on what I'm seeing. Those borrowers' values still kind of a little too tight on the margins. But I think going South Shore, Fall River, New Bedford, Brockton, even Providence, guys, there's a lot of value down there. So years ago, Tony and I, we dabbled in virtual wholesaling and all kind of crazy stuff. And that's one of the things, guys, like we're a resource that's been out here for years, tried, tested, improvement. We tried it all. And so like I thought we created wholesaling back in the day. That's how silly I was. We were doing our 6-figure wholesales, back during the market crash, we started doing that after our first couple flips. But we've dabbled in that and it can be done. But the one thing I'll say with distance comes a probability of making less money, and it's harder to manage and harder to deal with. So if you don't have a trusted team in the area you're trying to get into, or a process that you know is going to work in that area, be careful. Be careful. But I'm not going to say not to do it, because if you go on YouTube, you'll see a lot of guys who are doing it. Not all of them are true stories. Some of it's fake. But I know some guys personally who do virtually wholesale that are doing very well at it as well.
The other thing, I personally, because I manage the projects, I don't like to go from Boston to, I don't know, maybe Rhode Island. I'm like, it is not convenient for me, first of all. And I like to have to keep everything close. And it's just, and I can see the people, I can manage the people, I can jump from one to another one, and I'm on top of them. So if I add 2 projects far away, I can't do it.
It's hard, right? And finding a crew in another market that you can trust, when you don't have eyes on them, even if you know them, problems. We've experienced it, and we know it firsthand. So, that's really the management is the hardest thing. Now, if you're wholesaling in another state, that's a whole different story. It definitely is much more feasible. We've done it. It can be done. Again, just make sure your process is tight and you got someone you can trust who's giving you the right values and can be a resource and help you find buyers if your buyers don't fall through. Realtors in the local market are really a good resource, guys. They're market experts. They know their values. A lot of them have buyers ready to go and can help you find buyers. So that's really the route you want to leverage if you're going to do stuff out of state on the wholesale side. He asked, how do you decide if you're going to rent a property or sell a property? So typically, when we get into one of these projects, something like this, we looked at both scenarios. When we finished it, would it be worthwhile to rent it? The answer is no, because simply put, we're investing so much. We're going to be investing in this thing for like $1.1 million, right, when it's done. To try to rent it and recoup the return on investment through rents here, even if you're getting $3,000 a month, $2,800 a month, it's not worth our time. We need to get the return so we can keep growing our business. So for our model, it's not ideal. I know plenty of guys who will do something like this and hold it because they're structured differently and they're not able to find as many deals as us. So they're looking to build wealth and get that return on the money, whereas we're looking to build liquidity while the market is the way it is and we're able to find these deals. And then when the market dips, that's when we're going to look to buy and hold more. Yep. But it really depends on how you're structured. It depends on the market you're buying into. Some markets, like we own a few buy and holds in the South Shore, and down there it made more sense. We got such good deals. We could easily buy them very low prices and get good returns. Getting like 12% cap rate, on them. So you can pull the equity out as well if you want liquidity. But with something like this, for a 2-family, we'd be so close to the threshold on what it's worth, we really couldn't pull out much. If you're buying a property, should you buy with the intention of holding, or should you stay away from rentals? Twofold. First and foremost, if you are going to buy a house to rent it, that's really a wealth building strategy. If you're going to buy a house to flip it, that's a liquidity strategy. Get cash in your pocket. So with that said, if you are going to buy and hold for the first time, you want to buy and hold with the intention of bringing in some help, a management company to help you. One of the things we offer is property management. We got Donald right here. Raise your hand, Donald. Let him know who you are. Management, managemyasset.com. Go check them out. But yeah, if you guys are looking to buy and hold, you definitely want to do it with support, with help. And that's really what our company is built to do. We have in-house, even conventional lenders. If you guys are looking to get pre-approved, I don't think Rochelle's here tonight, but she's an in-house lender who does, buy and hold financing. The hard money's more for the investment side, and she can help with that as well. So yeah, that's really how I would advise you. If you have some cash and you're just looking to, get a better return on your money than you're going to get in the bank, definitely buying and holding is the way to go. Yes, I would highly recommend it. We got some good agents here. Tony Baptiste is one you can speak with as well about helping you find a property as well, as you go through that process. How do we get through if the contractor defaults? So I'm the contractor, so I better not default. We're going to be in big trouble. Yeah, no.
No, don't worry. I'm going to make it happen.
No, but if you're in a situation where your contractor abandons you, it could be stressful, it could be challenging, because depending on if they're ahead of you on the money or behind you, if they're behind you and the work is progressed further along than what you spent, then you're good. And you just basically have to write a letter to the city or town taking them off the job and inserting whoever it is going to be the responsible party on it.
And please do not pay them half. Never. Pay them in thirds as the work is done. You can't pay them.
At the most, start with thirds to be safe, just so you can get ahead and manage and make sure you're protected. And then, even if you can do a little less, it's more beneficial to you. But yeah, there
Yeah,
was a procedure
please,
to take them,
just
take them off.
be careful with contractors.
So his question was, if you're gonna hear him, guys, when we sub everything out, who pays for the material? Is it that included in their quote, or is that included, do we cover all materials and just pay labor? So it's a mix. Appliances, finishes, cabinets, tiles, all the finish, carpentry, we pay for it. Because we have really good deals from our cabinet supplier we've been working with for over 10 years. And so, we're able to save a lot more, or we get contractor pricing too, but in some cases, because like our appliance, we go to Yale Appliance, every time we hit so many, we end up getting a free set or a free fridge or something for free. So that way you save, guys, and that's really important. Like the Home Depot bid room, I did a video about that. Check it out. If you guys know what the Home Depot bid room is, if you spend $1,500 at Home Depot, you basically go to the pro desk and tell them, hey, my order's more than 50. Even if you have to register and it rings up more than 15, you take it to the pro desk, let them know I'm over 15. They'll submit it to Home Depot corporate. They got a little process, little system there, and then they'll get you wholesale pricing on some of the items that qualify. So it's a really good way to save. On like doors, baseboard, window casings, you save a lot of money. We save over 50% on a lot of that. So like that's a nice little tip. If you haven't heard of that before, that'll save you money, and that's money right to your bottom line, right in your pocket. So it's a mix. What our contractors do pay for, like if you see all these wiring, the PEX tubing, everything you see here, all these materials other than the lumber, our contractors pay for it. So even including the cans for the lights, they pay. Our electrician covers that in his costs. Yep, we have some electricians where we have to provide that, but the one we're working with right now, he provides everything. So all the rough materials other than the studs and the lumber, our guys cover the cost of that. So I think it's a good structure. The finishes is where it's going to cost you way more anyway. So you really want to have a hand in that. You don't want to be hands off. Like, okay, if you're just starting out, you don't have a choice and you don't have the time and you trust them, that's fine. But if you can make the time to really bid it out and figure out what makes sense, that would be to your benefit. So I think a big part of this, guys, is mentorship. And that's why I have some of my team members here, as you can discuss. But as you start, like, especially if you're just getting into real estate, I think teaming up with an agent that kind of knows a little bit about construction is also helpful. As you're touring properties, you can talk to them and ask questions about, rough estimate. Don't hold them to it because they don't know everything. But I think it's important to be with a team that can actually support you and mentor you a little bit. Because along the way of this journey, guys, like I was mentored by some of my investor clients who were doing this type of stuff. And I was just picking up what I could pick up as I could, as I was going along. I think YouTube University is a real good place. Y'all heard of YouTube University? Yeah, it's on YouTube.com. Go check it out. But yeah, you can learn a lot on there, guys. That's a really good place, believe it or not, because a lot of the information is unbiased. It's folks kind of in your shoes and kind of where they were at. Like I think for me, how I learned a lot of this was hanging out with my architect. I had an architect named Chino. He was an old Indian dude. He passed away a couple years ago suddenly, but he was a great guy. And this dude, he literally was like an encyclopedia when it came to architectural, structural, and that's all he wanted to talk to all day. So I just go chill in his office. We would talk, we would kick it, and he was just kind of breaking stuff down, looking at plans, and telling me his life story and everything else. So good dude. But I think for me, he was probably the most influential with me kind of getting some confidence in knowing how to walk a construction site and understand, like, all right, this is right, this is wrong, and really kind of correct guys and do it the right way. But mentorship really is a great way. And then if you're not able to find and connect with a mentor, YouTube is a great place to get some information. And if you have other questions, my team and I can help you as well.
The way that I learn is through him, like just by watching and honestly being here in the job site.
Being on the sites too, yeah.
Just, because they ask you questions, what should I do with this? I'm like, let's figure it out. Because sometimes they don't have all the questions. And sometimes they just frame like, no, the top inside minimum, it has to be, from 30 inches. And I start talking to them, but you learn through the process being in the job site. That's how I
yeah, the
learned.
job site, definitely. You had the benefit of being married to someone who's in the game, right?
Yes.
Right, so we purchased this property in October. We are going to be done by the end of March, maybe the first week of April or so. We had to wait. It took us how long to get the permit approved?
3 months.
Yeah, it took about, was it
3 months?
No, for the structural, it was like 6-8 weeks. It was about 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah, so we submitted the structural plan. So the way I did this one, I submitted a plan to do the demo and get going. But then before the structural was approved, it was about a good 6 to 8 weeks before that. So all in, October, November, December, January, February, March, this will be about a 6-month project from start to sale when we're done with it. Which is, that for a gut rehab, it's about average. We've done some faster. We've done some in 4 or 5 months, but 6 months, this one, because of the planning, it took a little longer. And that's one thing you got to factor in. The one that we did, gut rehab 2 family, Blue Ave. That was 3 months, start to finish on the work, and then it took another couple months to sell. But the reason it was so quick was because the permanent back then, we just got right through. They just like let us. Donald laughing. You know what I'm talking about? We got right through. We were like, oh man, this is lovely. It wasn't as crazy as it is now, and it's unprecedented. A lot of guys at the city, it's not their fault. They're overworked. They really, because it's just the pile keeps getting bigger and the staff keeps getting smaller. Like people are leaving and all kind of craziness they got to navigate. And I have some friends who work down there, so I definitely understand where they're coming from. But that's a big part of the process. A lot of stuff in construction is out of your control. And so that's one of the things where control what you can to maximize your profit, and still there's going to be stuff that kind of, pushes, sets you back a little bit, but you got to be prepared to navigate that. So we don't, just residential for us, we do have a commercial division within our company. We got a few representatives from BTRG Commercial. We got Jeff Samilian, raise your, yeah, there you go. Jeff, we got Mauricio, we got Rudy, a couple guys here, they work in the commercial division within our company, but Hamilton too. I know he's hiding back there somewhere, but yeah, definitely we do help people with commercial, and we can, refer you to contractors who can help you with commercial work as well. But for us, our business, residential is our expertise. This market's a great market to do that. However, we've done it a couple times, and my wife is totally against it. And I understood. I was stubborn. I was like, nah, we're gonna do it. This is a great deal. The market can't go up anymore. And so we ended up leaving probably a good 60, 70,000 on the table the last time we did that. It's all good. The family was happy with the house. It was a great experience for them. It was, phenomenal. However, the reason I argue against it, and it just depends on the market. Let's say you're doing a project, right? And you pre-sell it, and it goes up. The market goes up. That buyer is locked in. There's nothing you can do. You got to hold true to the contract. And we're people with integrity. We're not going to play those games. We're like, all right, we agreed to it. It is what it is. But now let's flip the coin. If the market declines while you have them locked in, guess what's going to happen? The appraisal comes in too low. So guess what happens next? They don't qualify. So you lose. So for us, we just, for our model at this stage, and with the residential side, if we were doing 30 unit buildings or something like that and we needed to get stuff pre-sold, that makes sense. But when you're doing 1 and 2 units or 3 families, the market's so hot right now, it's to your benefit to put it out there and see what you can get. Because again, they have all the leverage if it goes down, and you have no leverage if it goes up. So it's a lose-lose. Yep. That's a great question. And I learned that the hard way. She had the foresight. I got to give her credit. She called me out immediately too. She's like, yeah, that's not worth that. She's like, you could have got another 50, 60,000.
Anyway, so you live and learn. Please listen to your wife.
Happy wife, happy life. That's my mantra now. I learned that the hard way. It wasn't always like that, but now she's done a great job, and no, it's been good. It's been good. I would say, like, I always try to just check. I'm in the business, so I'm always looking every day, but you want to check at least quarterly, because that's where you kind of start to see some shifts. And even like year on year is huge, because like obviously the spring is always hot. The fall is kind of the next season that's pretty good. Summer's okay, and then winter's dead. Like on the sales side. So cyclically, it's always kind of going to be that. So you can't go from fall or from let's say summer to fall to winter, and it's always going like this. And you're like, oh, the market's going down. Of course it's going down. It always goes down like that. But it's really going to be from that last spring to the next spring. And the interesting thing in Boston, guys, it's kind of crazy, but despite the number of units on the market going up, values have still been going up for like 2 years straight, which is interesting because stuff selling at higher prices at a premium is better quality product, and that's what I attribute it to. But I think we're nearing the top, in this election year. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. I think obviously any election year you typically see the market kind of stabilize and maybe go down a little bit, which is fine. I don't think it's going to crash, but yeah, you wanna watch it season versus season to really get an idea of where you're at. But I check at least quarterly too, just to kind of make sure. I would recommend that. Is it a wise decision to refinance, pull out that money, and put it to work? I will say yes. No, not all of it. Not all of it. Of course, they won't let you take all of it. Right? They won't let you take all of it. Usually, it'll go up to like 70% or so, depending on your lender. Yeah, but whatever you need to buy that next property, I would highly recommend it, because let's be honest, guys. That equity is there now, but if the market shifts, it's gone. So use it while you have it to grow your wealth. It's better served in multiplying properties, and now you have 2 properties that are cash flowing for you instead of just one, and then that equity's gone. You can't use it in the future. So I would highly recommend it. Equity in a home just sitting there, if you are someone who wants to take on investing it, is definitely not the best use of your money. Money should be working.
No, use that
for you.
through the years it's gonna go up.
Appreciate. Yeah, over any 10-year
Like,
period, it's always been
I
up.
don't like the stock market. He likes it. I like, investing into real estate.
Yep.
It's a win-win.
House for 26 years.
26 years. There you go. You earned that equity.
Yes,
That's
we
yeah.
did.
You earned it. Absolutely. Good
So
for
I
you.
really want to do something else.
Yes.
So that we have another house.
Yep.
And that's why I want to do renting instead of just flipping.
Right. Right.
I'm a little nervous with the flipping thing because
It's risky.
yes,
Yep.
it is risky, and sometimes you can find where there are other problems after you get in there, and I don't want to have to deal with that.
Right. Yep. Definitely. No. Makes
Believe
sense.
it or not, this one, it will be cheaper if we just tear it down and build a new one.
Building new house, yeah.
Yep. But the time to take to get that approved makes it more expensive. Yeah. And we can't just do it. You got to go through a process to get there. So we got time for one more question, guys. So the new construction taking place in the city is unprecedented. We've never seen this many new structures going up, and there's more coming. There's more coming. There's a lot of underutilized parcels. There's a lot of underutilized properties that investors want to put their money into the market, and guys who know how to do it are doing it. So no, I think you still see a lot of fix and flips. It just depends on how you're structured and what you're doing. But no, we've never had this much construction. It's a construction boom going on in the city of Boston, guys. So before we wrap up, I just want to point out a couple key people that are on my team, guys. I got Tony Baptiste here on the real estate side. He's a real estate agent and investor as well. So if you're looking to buy a house, you can definitely talk to Tony. Zainab, are you here still? She in the back? Zainab, she's waving her hand. She's definitely another one of my key team. And any other real estate agents on the residential side? Residential. Put your hand down, Milton. Yep. Yep. And then on the commercial side, we have Jessamillion. He's the head of the commercial team. We got Hamilton over here. Yep. And we got Rudy and Mauricio in the back. Those are also a part of our commercial team. We got our property management team right here. As I mentioned earlier, D. Wright Management. So if you need property management, he's the gentleman you want to talk to. He's a good brother, knows what he's doing, very experienced, and definitely in good hands. Yep, absolutely. Carlos, put your hand up. Boston Realty Funding family right here. Carlos is a loan originator with Boston Realty Funding. If you need a hard money loan, you can talk to Carlos as well. He'll definitely be able to help you get the funding you need. And as far as our conventional lending, Rochelle's not here tonight, but definitely I'm going to make sure she's here at the next meetup. And then we got Hughes Marshalling within our office. He has his master's in taxation. He's a licensed EA enrolled agent with the IRS, so he knows what he's doing. So we have a lot of services, guys, under one roof. And that's really the biggest reason we do these meetups. We want to help people grow. We have the resources, we have the knowledge, and we want to share it. A lot of guys charge for this type of stuff. People are like, why don't you charge money? I'm like, I have a passion to help folks grow, and the business will come back to us eventually. So we'll make our money in the long run, but it becomes a win-win. We're helping you grow, you're helping us grow, and everyone's out here, coming up in the city of Boston, and they're really starting to learn how to make money on their terms, because there's not a lot of resources out there to do what we're doing here, guys. So I really want to thank all of you for coming out. Feel free to subscribe to us on YouTube, on IG, Instagram, if you haven't already, guys. And we're definitely going to be producing a lot more content this year. If you haven't toured the property yet, feel free to walk upstairs, take a tour downstairs, guys. And any questions you have, we'll be here answering questions. And feel free to network with my team members as well. You guys have a great night. And thanks for coming out. Thank you for having me. Yeah, they can.
Thank you very much. No, you're welcome.